Okay, let's get started. Welcome, good evening, good morning, good night, everybody, wherever you are coming from. My name is Vanessa Talavera, and I just wanted to say a warm congratulations and a warm welcome to the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. Big congratulations, as you'll see through our slides. It is a big deal that you've got into our college, so really take a pat on the back. And then if there's any parents or family members watching, congrats to you being the support system through this whole process. So thank you for joining us this evening. So I'm Vanessa Talavera. I am the outreach coordinator for the College of Ag and Environmental Sciences Dean's Office. I do all of the recruitment for the college. So I've probably been in your area if you live in California. So I go all over California and just basically go to different high schools, community colleges, and do presentations like this. I was also an alumni of UC Davis. I graduated back in 2018 with a bachelor's in human development and worked a lot of on-campus jobs, did research, all the whole nine yards. So yeah, very proud to be a UC Davis Aggie alumni. And then I have my student outreach assistant, Anna, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Anna Bartels. I work with Vanessa for outreach. I'm the student outreach assistant in the College of Ag Dean's office. I'm an animal science major and a communications minor, and I'm from San Diego. I saw we had one person in the chat from San Diego, so shout out SoCal. But yeah, I work alongside Vanessa to do student outreach, both on campus and off campus. We do a lot of webinars, high school presentations, prospective student presentations. But yeah, I look forward to this.
And then we also have some Aggie Ambassadors here too. So Aggie Ambassadors is basically an embedded club within the College of Ag. And so basically our pillars are community, leadership, and outreach. So if any of that speaks to you and you really like going out into the community and doing that outreach, but then also getting some leadership experience out of it, we have a club and a class that is through our dean's office. And so just some great opportunities. And then a lot of our post FFA folks also come through that program too. So we will start with Tia.
Hi everyone, I'm Tia Akiki and I'm a first year here at UC Davis, majoring in clinical nutrition. I'm from Tracy, California. I didn't see anyone in the chat with from Tracy, but it's okay. Um, I'm also this is my third quarter doing Aggie Ambassadors and it's been a really great experience. I think one of my favorite events is probably the workshop events, the leader shops, and definitely for doing outreach at our local high schools. We went to the local high schools near the Davis area and we really speak to students to apply here, and it's just a really great experience. Thank you.
So my name is Vanessa Gray. I am a third year animal science major. And I'm from Woodland, so not too far, pretty local to Davis. And so I am a commuter student. And I've been in Aggie Ambassadors for this is gonna be my third year. So I started as a freshman.
And Amber.
And hi, my name is Amber Lamandola. I'm a second year managerial economics major. I'm from Oakdale, California, so about 2-ish hours from here. And being an Aggie ambassador is one of my favorite things I've done was the World Ag Expo. It was a great experience, so much to see, so many people to talk to. So I would definitely give that a try if you guys are interested. Nice to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank y'all. And we will get started with just kind of some general information. And there's also a Q&A function, so please use it. It's going to be at the bottom of your screen. Click Q&A and ask any questions that you may have, whether it's related to the CERN majors, the college, UC Davis in general. Just as I guess, as a heads up, we do not work in financial aid, nor do we work in housing. But I'm sure all of us have the student experience of what those things were like. So, but if you're looking for those specific questions and answers, unfortunately, we're just gonna give a warm handoff to our partners over there. But any other questions, we are more than happy to answer. So yes, please put things in the Q&A and we will open up to our panel later. And so, just like all these wonderful Aggie ambassadors, we have a whole team of folks that are here to support you and welcome you. This was taken last year at our Aggie orientation. And so we have a whole team of major advisors, dean's office advisors, event coordinators, and then also Aggie Jumpstart folks. So basically, when you come here, even though we are a large Research One university, there is going to be a family here for you to take care of you, answer any questions, get you through those hard times, and also celebrate those good times. So no matter what question you have, we're going to find someone who has the answer for that. So yeah, I work in the dean's office. There's like a team of like 15 academic advisors to help you. And then each of you will have at least 2 to 3 major advisors per your department. And so, yeah, we are a big team, but we collaborate very often, just like we did this past Saturday at Aggie Day. And so, we are the second largest college within the UC Davis system, and so we have over 7,600 undergraduate students, and then we also have around 1,030 graduate students. So quite a lot of folks within our college. College of Letters and Sciences is going to be the largest college since they have all the arts and humanities majors. And then we also have 381 faculty members. 7 of those are from the National Academy of Science, and then 23 are associated with the American Association of the Advancement of Science Fellows. So a lot of great faculty to work with. And then we have over 725 staff members, which I am one of those staff members. But yeah, there's a lot of folks to help and support you through all of this. And then we do have over 7,000 undergraduate students, like I said. So when you're going through the quarter system is 10 weeks. So hopefully, out of those 7,000 people, you're able to find a friend, and the Aggie ambassadors will be able to talk about different ways of how they made friends on a fast quarter system, and then, of course, any clubs and organizations that they are a part of. And then to kind of just expand on that network of kind of just how to kind of navigate the system once you get here in terms of like who answers what questions, who's able to help you out in what aspect. And so in the gold over here, we have the major advisors. They're going to be able to answer questions regarding major requirements, scheduling, planning, doing things on Schedule Builder with you, talk about different research and internship opportunities that are specific within that major. So if you are an animal science student and you want to look at things that'll help you get to vet school, the animal science advisors are going to be the ones to give you that research and internship information, and they'll be sending them through those listservs. So keeping an eye out on those once you SIR and enroll. And they can also connect you with different faculty since they are working directly with them too. Then over here in kind of like the bluish, lightish bluish, we have the UAP Dean's office, which is where I am housed as well. So that's going to be if you are interested in just like, I don't really know what I want to do with my major, or maybe I'm in this certain major, but I kind of want to explore something else. The Dean's office is a great place to start for that since we kind of are the more generic, broad office in terms of major exploration. Where are you going to go? Which ones should you look at? What classes should you choose if you're thinking about switching a major? So if you're thinking about switching a major, adding a minor, the Dean's office is going to be the place to go. And then we also have university GE and college requirements. So if you just want to make sure that you have all your GEs ready, or if you want to make sure that like, hey, am I going to graduate on time? The dean's office is going to be the place for that too. And then any college policies, procedures, or just general questions of like, hey, I got a flat tire. Where do I go for that? Or you can even ask the dean's office questions of like, hey, I want to be able to get some like counseling. Where can I see for counseling? Or I'm trying to think of anything else that just literally any random generic question, the dean's office is probably going to be the one to field those just out from the gate. You can ask your major advisors too, but they're kind of more specific and niche to help you with your major. And then both can recommend classes, both can refer you to campus resources, both can help with you with co-curricular opportunities. And so that's kind of where we meet in the middle. And then, so if you have any questions about your major, you can go to majors.ucdavis.edu and just click on departmental advisor, and then that will take you to your specific major advisor. If you have questions about your major right now, you can go ahead and reach out to your major advisor. I have been connecting people with their current major advisor for our admitted students, so you are more than welcome to reach out to them too. And then if you're looking for us, we're at case.ucdavis.edu under students and under advising. We really won't see you until you start your classes and once you do your Aggie 101 and Aggie advising. But if you're just like, what do you do as a manager economics student? What do you do as a food science student? You can start reaching out to your major advisors. And then we also work with all of our amazing campus resources and advising centers. So we have our student community centers, our retention centers, athletics advising, EOP, undergraduate research center. So yes, there's a lot of different things to do at UC Davis, and there's always an advisor or a staff member to answer and field those questions. And then, of course, like I said, big round of applause for you. You have been admitted into the #1 school for ag, plant sciences, animal science, vet med, and then as well as ag economics and policy. So you are one of, basically you're admitted because you belong here. You are going to be amongst one of the best. And we want you here so you can help us spread that knowledge, but then as well contribute to research and basically better our planet, better our environment. And so we have top-notch faculty here that are already on that mission. And so we are excited for you to also join on that mission as well. And then just to add to our statistics, I guess, we are top 10 and ranked among the tops in agronomy, biodiversity education, ecology, entomology. So yeah, we have like one of the largest like bug collections here at UC Davis. And then we also have environmental science, horticulture, nutrition, soil science, and toxicology. So those are also some of our top 10 ranked majors and just kind of specializations that we have here. So if you are interested in any of those, highly recommend, especially for folks interested in like soil science or toxicology. Those are kind of like more of our smaller minors and majors. So a lot of great opportunities in there to do research as well. And then for case student success, this is just kind of see like what it would look like in the future once you come here, and then just knowing like, hey, am I gonna be okay when I get here? But just letting you know that our graduation rates are amongst the highest. 82% of students from our 2018 cohort have graduated at 82%, and this is just based on the data that admissions gives us. So it's going to be around 80% for like 2019, 2020, and then as we get the data, it'll continue. But very strong graduation and retention rates. Our retention rates are higher with a 90.5% for students. So basically, after your first year, people then 90% of them will come back for their second year. And so we really attribute that to like our different like retention programs, similar to Aggie Jumpstart that we have within the college. And then folks just feel like a sense of community when they are here. And so we also have a lot of parameters in place, especially within our college, to make sure that you are successful. So we're always checking in on you, sending emails, sending things on Instagram, and then hosting events so that you can get your questions answered too, similar to this. And then we also have internships. And then I think Anna will speak on some of her internship experience that she has encountered and experienced. But 87% of our students have been involved in an internship or are currently in an internship. And we also have our internship and career center if you just want to get started early, I guess. But I always recommend our first year students to take a pause, get used to UC Davis, get used to the quarter system, and really just kind of learn all the different opportunities before you just jump right in. So yeah. Financial aid, like I said, we are not financial aid, but I wanted to give you information about financial aid. So once you accept into our college, we do have different scholarships and grants that are going to be given straight from your financial aid package. So just depending on your major, and then also some are based on merit, those will be awarded once that you get here, and then also some that you can apply in your second year. And then I also have attached our lovely financial aid partner, Jamila Brown. It's over here. I know it's kind of hard to see white on blue, but if you have any questions about financial aid or your financial aid package, please, 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 please reach out to Jamila. So that'll be Jam Brown at UC Davis. There's also a QR code on the screen if you have any more questions about financial aid, but we know that college is expensive, and we want you to make a very, I guess, wise decision in choosing your college. So really trying to help you out before you get there. So please reach out to Jamila if you have any financial aid questions. And I'll kick it to Anna.
Thank you, Vanessa. So yeah, I'm going to talk about some of kind of the student perspective on how a lot of our classes, housing, student culture looks like. Also a reminder, we do have a special Q&A section that you guys can already start putting in questions for our panelists. But if for some reason that doesn't work, I'm also looking at the webinar main chat. So just as I talk, if you think of any questions, go ahead and put that in either of those chats. So how we solve problems, we focus on like a triad of agricultural, human social science, environmental sciences, and the One Health triad. One Health is the idea that um, all of our classes and our world health is tied in with human, ag, environmental, and animal science. So a lot of my classes specifically as an animal science major has looked at the multidisciplinary focus between all of these. So your classes are going to tie in a lot of different aspects, like whether you're a humanities major or a STEM major, it's going to look at a lot of different layers and problem solving techniques. Thanks. And so in our College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences, we have 27 majors and 39 minors. Take a look at like the list. We do have double majors. We have specializations within a lot of our majors. We have minors. For example, I'm a communications minor and I'm an animal science major, but I specialize in captive and companion animal science. And so that's something I didn't know coming in with my major is you can specialize in something a lot of the time. So if you go to the UC Davis website, there's a lot more information on exactly what classes you need to take, different specializations you have. But UC Davis really prides itself in having a lot of specific and niche majors. As Vanessa said, we're #1 for ag and environmental and plant and animal science and forestry, I believe. That's a long list. But yeah, part of the reason that we're so high up in these rankings is because we have so many opportunities and different majors. For example, we don't have just one agricultural major. We have ag environmental education, we have ag and environmental tech, environmental policy, environmental science and management. So a lot of more specific majors. And as the years go on, we tend to add more majors too to give each student a major based on their specific interest. Yeah, so for student housing, all incoming first-year students, you guys would all have guaranteed housing. So we have 3 dorm locations around campus. They're each located a little bit in different spots, and they all have similar structure, similar vibe to it. But it's random placement into the housing unless you have specialty or like specific housing that you request. We also have housing options outside of your freshman year. So second, third, fourth year, people tend to live off campus in apartments. But we do have on-campus apartment housing that includes Orchard Park, Yosemite Hall, Green at West Village. But a lot of students also find their own housing off campus. And speaking from experience, it is a pretty good housing market. Like a lot of students share big houses. I'm in an apartment living right now. A variety of different prices if you want to share a room, have single or double rooms. So housing is really good at Davis. And building community. Our campus living offers easy access to classes. All of our dorms are located on campus, very close to classes. Davis is also a bike school, I'm sure you know, so everyone parks their bikes at their dorms and rides onto campus. Academic advising at your dorms. We also have tutoring at your dorm locations. Really good dining hall. I'm speaking from experience. I'm sure our panelists can answer more questions later, but I actually miss the dining hall food. And we have some cute little study spaces around campus too. And events led by your dorm locations. And so that looks like fun little festival events specific to your dorm location, hallway bonding events led by your RA, and things like that. Yeah, so a little bit more about student housing. Like I said, it's pretty random assignment, depending on which location you get, unless you have specified that you want to live in a living learning communities. So students with similar interests or different demographics can request to live together. And we also have barn residency programs. These are students that can live actually in one of our animal facilities. It's a very unique experience to Davis. And that's in exchange for 10 hours of work per week. So you get free housing in an animal facility for 10 hours of work per week. And so that includes our dairy barn, goat barn, horse barn. I know we also have residents at our swine facility. And I think it's 1 or 2 students per year. You can apply under one of our like barn residency program applications, and you actually get to live in the barn. And it's really great to have hands-on experience that you can put on a resume for that as well. Yeah, and so Davis also is really known for having hands-on experiences. We have internships, great lab experience, field trips. For example, I'm an animal science major and I'm on the pre-vet track. So I've had some internships through some of our Davis student-run clubs that actually partner with the vet school. Our vet school is #1 in the country and #2 in the world right now, believe it or not. And so it's a great experience going to Davis as an undergrad because we're so close to the vet school. I was able to get internships at the vet school with the vet students and faculty. I have another friend who is an ag major, and she has an internship at our student farm. Our student farm is a like large production. We have student farm markets, various levels of internships. Internships can also apply towards graduation units, which is really nice. And it depends how many hours you work per week for how many units of graduation units you get. So those are just some examples of internships. I know a lot of our animal science facilities have internships. Our faculty is always reaching out to their classes with internship opportunities. And we also have special job application websites and apps specific to Davis that internships are posted on. So it's really easy to find kind of a niche internship, something that you're interested in. Lab experience is also very hands-on. Going to a big UC school, like you're going to have the big lecture halls with a bunch of students around you, but lab experiences are really nice because there's only about 20 students per lab and 1 TA per lab. So you get a really hands-on, smaller group experience. So all of your chemistry labs are working with real chemicals. All of the biology labs, we worked with real animals and real specimens. And I've had some friends in various majors that get to go out and do field work with technology hands-on in very small groups. Also field trips for a lot of classes. We do go off campus. UC Davis is the biggest campus out of all the UCs because it includes all of our agriculture land around us. So for example, I had some animal science classes where we went to some of our agricultural facilities or even off-campus farms and worked with animals hands-on there. I've had other friends that go into ag land and they fly drones around the area so they could work on topography and soil science. So we're really lucky to have a lot of space to use and field trip locations around campus. And so a lot of your classes might go outside of the classroom. Yeah, so some resources and opportunities for case students. We have something called Career Discovery Groups, CDG groups. And these are for students to learn more about what their major can get them outside of college. So once you graduate, what do you do? I know for me, I've had a little bit of career anxiety, as does everyone. So these often are like once a week meetings where speakers can come in and talk about their experiences. There's can be like resume building workshops, and it's just a great way to kind of hone in on what your opportunities are after you get your degree. We have Aggie Ambassadors. That's what our 3 panelists are a part of. Aggie Ambassadors is specific to the Case College, and they do events, student volunteering, leadership workshops, and it's a great way to also meet some of your peers. We have Manners, which is also a type of leadership workshop, and Aggie Jumpstart for first-gen low-income students for more opportunities. They also meet once a week, and you get to make a community. We have 30+ college affiliated student organizations, experiential learning and internships. We have specialized career advising with ICC advisors. That's like our college and career center. For example, we have like health professions advising. So as a pre-vet student, we have specific advisors for the pre-vet track, or if you're pre-med, pre-PA, and beyond just the health professions advising too, we have specialized career advising for any of our majors. Also, mental health and well-being resources. We have on-campus counseling and various resources to help students. And events and activities. This includes a lot of free food for students, which I've loved so far as an undergraduate. We have coffee with the dean, so coffee, and you get to ask the dean of our college questions. Slice of advising, that's like a pizza party with your advisor. So if you have any last minute questions around the date, you can go and talk to an advisor in person. And study break, that's pictured in the picture on the screen right here. We set out a ton of food for students during finals week to support them and give them a little break between studying.
Yeah, so that's just a rundown of all of our great resources and opportunities, and just a friendly reminder, if all of that information sounds great to you, the SIR date is May 1st, as just a friendly reminder. And then if you have any questions beyond our panel today, you can go ahead and send me an email at outreach@case.ucdavis.edu. Both me and Anna will be overlooking that email. So if you have any questions or if you want to come see the campus before the SIR day, please let us know. And then there's also some Instagram and Facebook information at the bottom. But we're going to go ahead and get some questions answered by our panel here today. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And yeah, we'll get to the panel. So Anna, if you want to start us off with your favorite question or something.
Okay, yeah. So we have some questions. You can keep typing them as I speak. I see them coming in. I'm going to start with some of the more broad questions. And if I don't get to your question or your question doesn't get answered, feel free to email us or any of our faculty or departments, on our website. But let's start out. Let's see, how easy is it to switch majors if I decide while at UC Davis that my STEM major is not for me? So I'm going to ask our Ag ambassadors to answer first. I also actually switched majors. So if you guys, I don't know if any of you three have switched majors, but Amber, you have? Okay, do you want to start for us, Amber?
Hi, yes. I recently just switched over to Man Econ. It's a pretty simple process. They do require you to take some classes related to the major beforehand, kind of just some requirements before you switch, I think just to make sure that it's what you want to do. But it's usually not too bad, and you meet with the advisors, they help you with the process, and as far as I know, it's a pretty simple process to switch your major. So if you're on the edge about what you came in as, no worries, you can feel it out and then see what else looks good.
Awesome. Vanessa or Tia, have either of you guys switched majors? Vanessa, you have? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm actually in the process of currently switching from animal science to animal science and management. I know, such a huge difference. But yeah, I switched majors just because I want to go more towards the management side career-wise, and not just like kind of like the general. So like the difference between that is the animal science and management just kind of goes over more of like, economics and business and things like that. So it's kind of like an addition to animals, yeah.
And Tia, you said you didn't switch majors, right?
Yeah, I haven't switched majors, but I have like talked to my major advisor about like if I want to do like a minor in public health, because public health and clinical nutrition are pretty similar. So definitely if you want to like add a minor or switch your major, I definitely recommend talking and meeting with your major advisor for sure.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, I have one more thing to say about that. So I was an environmental science and management major coming in freshman year. And like a lot of my friends that have switched majors, I took a couple classes and was like, you know what, now that I'm actually doing it, it's not for me. And so I wanted to switch to animal science. And I talked to an advisor and was able to switch, I think like within the week, maybe. It's not always that fast, but I've had a really great experience. I know Amber and Vanessa sounds like they've had good experiences too. But I'd say talk to an advisor. The class system is really nice because you're able to take classes that are outside of your major. So I took some animal science classes before switching to make sure that I really liked it and wanted to switch. And I loved it. And so then I was able to switch. So there's a lot of room for exploration. There's also career advisors like we talked about earlier. But yeah, I'd say it's meant for like experiential learning and figuring out what you like. So thank you guys for answering. Let's see. Let me find another good question. Does UC Davis help students get internships in other places other than Davis? Does anyone want to take that one? Tia, you want to start?
I think for me at least, even though I'm a first year, I definitely if you want to find internships like outside of Davis, using Handshake, university, it's a university affiliated, it's kind of like LinkedIn, but it's kind of like based in on like Davis, like University of California of Davis. So I definitely recommend using Handshake. You can find any jobs, internships, volunteering. I did volunteering at the student farm and I applied through Handshake, so that's one way. to find any, internships through Davis and even like in the areas surrounding Davis. So I definitely recommend setting up a Handshake account for sure.
Yeah, we also have our internship and career center, which is actually now called the Career Center. And they have like newsletters and they, post different internships and they help you with like resume workshops or like pretty much anything you could think of that has to do with that. And then there's also like each like major has their own newsletter. So I'm on like the animal science newsletter and they have like different resources from scholarships to like internships, and sometimes that does apply to like things outside of Davis.
I just wanted to add the Aggie Ambassadors also highlight some internships that are open out and a newsletter they send out. So just getting involved in resources like that can open you up to a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, thank you guys. I love that you mentioned the newsletters. That's something that I found UC Davis is really good at is communicating opportunities to their students. So whether in a class, a club, or just under your major advisor newsletter, every single week in the newsletter, there's opportunities for jobs and internships. And like Tia said, we do have a UC Davis specific app for internships. Also, Davis is known as like a cute little college town. And so a lot of the opportunities and businesses and facilities around campus know that there's a bunch of students looking for internships. And so they often cater towards undergraduates and accept undergraduates to work for them as an intern or under their lab too. Another thing I wanted to add is that a lot of professors at Davis do their own research and also accept undergraduates to help either through jobs or internships in their own labs. So I have a lot of questions here about minors. So let me just kind of combine them all into one and ask, how easy is it to get a minor and how might that change your course load?
I
Do
know.
either,
Oh,
sorry, Tia,
sorry.
go ahead.
I know I'm looking to add a minor in public health because my major is clinical nutrition. So when you do a minor, that's very similar. The good thing is that because those, are very like interconnected, the classes are really similar. So it's not like you're doing like a lot of additional work. It's just the coursework is really similar. So I think it's really easy to meet with to add a minor. I definitely just recommend um to talk to a major advisor and they can see if the classes align up to do that. But yeah, it's not a hard process at all. I'm in the working of trying to work with my major advisor to try to add a minor in public health as they're really similar as well.
Awesome. Yeah, Amber, Vanessa, do you have any extra comments or was that covered?
I considered adding a minor in accounting. I'm a man econ student. And I think for that it was going to be about an additional 20 units. So then again, not too terrible. Just a little extra time, and it is connected if you pick a minor that is related to your major in some way.
I actually,
Awesome. Oh, sorry,
sorry.
Vanessa, go ahead.
I actually do have something else to like add. I remember also when I was like a freshman considering, adding a communications major or minor. But my advisor kind of just said, so I guess it just like depends on like what your goal for the minor is because, it does have its own set of like classes and units and other like things that you need in order to get it. So it just depends on what you want to do with it. For me, I ended up not choosing a minor just because I would rather take, because you could still take classes that have to do with it. So just taking communication classes versus adding that minor. So yeah.
Yeah, so from my experience, so I'm a communications minor, and kind of how units at a UC school work is like classes are between 3 and 5 units. 4 units is the average. So a minor is usually around 20, 25 units, depending on what it is. Like I think the communications minor is 20. So that's about 5 extra classes. So that's something to consider is if you can fit it into your course load, that's definitely something you need to look at. And minors typically are a little bit more open to electives rather than majors are. Like for example, communications, you just have to take 5 upper division communications classes and a few other like prerequisites basically. But it really depends what you're interested in. Advisors have encouraged me to choose a minor in something that I'm interested in rather than something I think I should do. So that's another thing to consider. Um, let's see, anything else about that? Yeah, we have a lot of like cool and unique minors. And so you can also look at the UC Davis website and see exactly what each minor requires class-wise, and take a look like through the classes and see if those interest you. And that's kind of how I decided to pick a minor. Yeah, one more question I saw kind of specific to me generalizing that question is minoring in something outside of your college. So if you're majoring in a case major, but for example, like I'm minoring in something in College of Letters and Science. So yes, you're able to do that. I'm minoring in something humanities related, and I'm a STEM major. So you can like kind of jump between the colleges for that. I saw a good question here. Is it easy to get into classes during registration, or do some classes fill and have wait lists? So could someone answer kind of what class registration looks like and how we do that?
Sure, I can start. Yeah, so you need 12 units to be considered a full-time student, and I believe, is it 6 or 8 to be part-time? But yeah, so depending on that, everything's like around 4. We use a thing called Schedule Builder, which is just an online system. If you're in high school and you use like Aries, some people do that. Like that's kind of similar. And so all the classes are listed there and like their times and everything, and then you just kind of select, and it's kind of, you get a pass time. So that's pretty much just like a scheduled time of when you could register, and like everyone gets a different one. So it's kind of distributed by well, there's also like priority registration. So priority registration is given to students with Student Disability Center. There's caregivers. I myself actually do have priority registration, so that's nice. I usually get an earlier pass time, and pass times usually last like 2 weeks. So yeah, it's kind of a lot to take in, but essentially, yeah, you'll probably waitlist a little bit, but it's okay, because eventually you'll be able to take the class. That's definitely.
I also want to mention that for Schedule Builder, especially for me, because I'm a first year, so it was a little stressful at first, but I definitely recommend creating more than one schedule, especially if you don't get the class that you wanted to take, or you get waitlisted, or all the spots fill up really quick. Just having a backup schedule, it will save you a lot of stress, and it will also allow you to register for other classes during your pastime. And there's also a thing called open registration. So during this time, you're able to, revise, edit your schedule, etc. So there is like specific weeks and times in order to revise your schedule, even past your specific pastime. But definitely recommend making backup schedules so that way then you're not rushing to find classes and you just have a second plan.
And then another thing I learned is classes have a lot of different sections. So even if a specific section you get waitlisted on, you can always go back and check and see if there's a different one that is open. It might not be like your ideal one, but if it still fits in your schedule, that's a way to help you, get in if you are worried about being waitlisted. But I remember coming in my first quarter, I was really stressed about getting what classes I wanted. And it honestly wasn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be. It works out pretty well. Usually your schedule comes together like a puzzle eventually.
Yeah, like Amber said, as a third year now, I've been waitlisted for like a couple classes here and there, but it was never as bad as I had expected, and I'm still on track to graduate just fine. Advisors are here to help answer those questions. Like that's what they're there for, to help you build your schedules. So sometimes, yes, you are waitlisted, but for the most part, UC Davis keeps track of how many students they're admitting, and so we do our best to accommodate however many students we expect to be in each of the classes. Like if you're a STEM major, a lot of the science and like biologies and chemistries, everyone has to take kind of all at the same time. And so there's almost always open spaces for those because they're just big lectures and a lot of students need to take them. So I haven't had an issue with it personally. And waitlisting, it does tell you like what place you are at on the wait list. and your advisors are there to help you choose different options for different schedules, because if you can't get into one class one quarter, you can always kind of shuffle your schedule. But yeah, good answers. Thank you guys. I had another question about tracks and specialization. So this person is specific to environmental science and management. So that was my major before I switched. So maybe I can answer that specifically at the end. But in general, how does choosing a track or specialization affect your course requirements? So I don't know if any of you guys are specializing in something within your major. If not, I can talk about it a little bit.
In managerial economics, there's 4 tracks you can take. I'm going the agribusiness route, and it doesn't change up your classes too much. It's usually like 12 to 20 units that are like specifically related to what track you choose, but they're all pretty similar in the same department, and there's lots of different ones you can choose from, so you're not told exactly what you have to take. You're kind of given a list that you can pick from. And I didn't choose what track I wanted until recently, so it's not something you need to know right away because a lot of the classes are very related.
Yeah, for my major animal science and management, you also have to, sorry, specialize towards the end. And so there's like you just essentially specialize in a species. So that ranges anywhere from avian to swine to horses to livestock. I'm personally going to specialize in livestock. And I also do want to also specialize in dairy. You're only allowed to do one, but you could talk to the faculty advisor for like the major, and they can make an exception because the only difference between a dairy and animal science, or not animals, dairy and livestock is literally just one class. So I'm hoping to double major, or not double major, double specialize. Sorry.
Awesome. And Tia, do you have a specialization within your major?
For nutrition, there's not really like a specialization, but there's like different paths you can take. So it can be like clinical nutrition, you could do nutritional biology, and a lot of students that take nutritional biology are looking to, go into like the med field, like pre-med. I'm trying to become a registered dietitian, so I'm doing clinical nutrition, kind of working in, clinics, hospitals, and just gaining a lot of clinical experience with that. But I wouldn't say there's like specific like tracks like in econ. It's more just like which path you're trying to take. Are you trying to go to med school, grad school, something like that?
Yeah, so for me, under animal science, I'm companion and captive animal specialization. It depends on your major. For example, like animal science, like Vanessa said, her specializations, animal science has 12 options actually. You can pick between the species or the discipline. So for example, we have like avian science, companion captive animals, or disciplinary focuses would be like behavior or biochemistry or genetics. So it's more like topical rather than species focused. So animal science specifically is nice because it has a lot of options. Amber, I think you said yours has about 4 different tracks. Environmental science and management, I believe, had 6, if I remember correctly. And those might have been like data science or hydrology or ecology. So it really depends on your major. Some have more tracks than others, but tracking and specializing, I do think you have to pick a track at some point. Usually that's later on in your 3rd or 4th year, and you talk to one of your faculty advisors. And how it looks differently in your schedule is, for animal science at least, I want to say there's only 2 or 3 extra electives you have to take specific to your specialization. Same for environmental science and management. I remember that one. There's just a few upper division electives that you choose. So it's already built into your major scheduled track. It just depends on which classes you take depending on your specialization. So great question, whoever submitted that one. Let's see, next question. This is specific. Okay, the question specifically is, are there a lot of pre-vet students in animal science and does it feel really competitive? But I want to broaden this question and ask you guys, what does like student academic culture feel like at Davis? Like, have you found that your classes are competitive? Have you felt like there's people fighting for the curve or anything like that? So what's your guys' experience within the classroom?
Yeah, so I know like a lot of like a fear is that like people are like very competitive and like very cutthroat. I personally have never had that experience. I came into like my first like day of class ever at Davis, and everyone was just like so friendly, so willing to make friends because no one knows anybody. And so everyone was like literally exchanging like numbers and just like yapping, and it was like very good. And I've never, yeah. Animal science is a pretty huge major there within the college, but it still feels like very intimate, even though one class could be like 300 students. But you kind of get to know everybody in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah, to add on what Vanessa said, even now as, in my upper division classes, every time the first lecture, everybody's exchanging numbers, putting together study groups, opening chats for everybody. So everybody's usually pretty willing to work together and help each other out. If, there's always someone who can answer your question and there's always other people who have questions. So I found that we're all really good at just working together and trying to help each other get to our goal.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's not especially, this being my first year, I don't think I've had to be in where I felt like it's very competitive and people are just trying to, you know, not really there to help each other. It was completely the opposite for me. Everyone was really willing to help. I made a lot of study groups. I'm in the chem series right now, so those are like big lectures, like almost 500 kids in a lecture room. But everyone's willing to help each other. Everybody just wants everyone to pass and succeed. So I have not had any issues with, feeling competitive or whatnot.
Yeah, and I think that even goes for professors. They're very like friendly in my experience I've had. I've knock on wood haven't had any like really bad professor. But yeah, like we've all mentioned that the lecture halls are very, very big. It's very different from what you're used to, like around 30. So you can imagine it's hard for you to feel like that connection that you normally will. But the professors are very approachable. They have office hours, which is essentially just a scheduled time that they let you come into their office and talk through any like questions you may have or anything like that. So yeah, there's office hours and you can always email them. And there's also discussions. So that kind of like goes along with the classes. So for like example, chem, that is a very like STEM and like very heavy course. So they have a discussion that's kind of also mandatory that goes with it. And that's where it gets more personal and it's led by a TA, so teacher's assistant, so which is usually a grad student. And that's usually like 20 people or less.
Yeah, same for me. My experience has been great. I have a lot of high school friends that are kind of spread out over the various UCs or out of state or California colleges. And just from what I hear from them, it seems like Davis is way more chill with like competitiveness. Vanessa, I like what you said, how even if you're in huge classes, like people in your major still feel very tight knit. Like now that I'm getting into my upper division major classes as a third year, like I see a lot of the same students taking the same classes that I am that I've seen since freshman year. So it's not hard to like make friends within your classes. It feels like a very bonding experience when you're in a huge class with a professor in a hard subject. But yeah, all the professors that I've had are super open to helping you and speaking to you. It just is a matter of you taking the initiative to go to office hours, reach out to them. But yeah, great answers, guys. Thank you. So I have some more questions. Let me kind of generalize this question. Questions about like hands-on experiences or field work. So what experiences in labs, in field trips, hands-on things that are major or career related have you guys had through Davis?
This is kind of random because I'm not an animal science major, but my first quarter here, I took the first animal science class just because I was interested in it and thought it would be fun. That was probably one of the most hands-on classes I've had. We did sheep flipping, milked cows, went out to all the different facilities. So then again, that was just something I was more interested in, but it was still like a fun break to get to do something hands-on. Me being a econ major, it's not as hands-on, it's more desk work. But there is so many opportunities, even if it's something that you're not majoring in and you're interested in, just want to get out there and try it.
Yeah, for animal science, I would say it's kind of broken down with within like 4 different things you could do. So there's like the ANS 49 series, so that's kind of like an elective essentially, and so that one is very specific to each barn. So we pretty much have any species you could think of here at UC Davis. So like you could take an ANS 49 class for the swine facility or like the horse facility or the dairy, and it's only about like the dairy or the swine, and that's different compared to like the classes that are for your major, because anyone could take it, and it's like very chill. It's like a pass no pass, and it's very informative for that species compared to taking a major class where it kind of covers a range of all different species and things like that. And then there's the barn residencies, and then there's also internships too that you could do at each facility. I know like a huge misconception between us and like the CSUs is that we aren't hands-on, just because we are research heavy. But our facilities are pretty top tier, if I do say so myself. And yeah, so you definitely get a lot of hands-on experience.
Yeah, and there's been like, I mean, for right now, come still, in my classes, for chem, especially the lab work, I really enjoy doing the labs for chem. It's really a nice experience, it's just you work with somebody else and you do, the chem labs and you get to do the hands-on chemistry. I feel like that really helps, especially, when you talk about this, for example, when you talk about titrations, right, but you don't do the hands-on part, it's really hard to understand. But when we do like the hands-on laboratory work, it really helps connect like concepts, and we get to see it, live right in front of us. So I think it's a really nice experience for sure.
Yeah, I love all those examples. Amber, I remember taking Animal Science 1 freshman year, and immediately we were thrown into doing like labs with different species every week. Yeah, and like I mentioned, like I have some roommates that are environmental science, and they go out like into the field and do like ag specific hands-on stuff. We also have something called the Coffee Lab at UC Davis, and that's a popular class. You actually get to go into a laboratory and learn the science and brewing of your own coffee. So that's a fun hands-on one if you need a science and engineering GE requirement. But yeah, I know we're wrapping up here, so put in your questions. I'll try to answer these last couple ones. Let's see, we have some questions about study abroad that I think we can answer. Have any of you guys studied abroad or know anything about it? Heard anything about it? It's okay if not. Okay. I have not studied abroad, but I have some friends who have, and I was actually thinking about studying abroad this summer. So there are two ways to do that. You can study abroad through UC Davis, and these are like specific courses. A lot of our general education classes are easiest to study abroad for, like your chemistries or biology. UC Davis has its own study abroad website, and you can look at the opportunities for that. A lot of the time it's going with a professor from your class. I know we have like a microbiology course in various locations. We also have abroad internships and jobs. Some of those are offered through UC Davis and some of them are offered externally. We also have something called, is it UCEAP? I forget what that stands for, but it's basically a study abroad program through all of the UCs around California, which is really cool. So you get to study abroad with other students at different UCs. And we have specific study abroad advising officers for that. So feel free to email an advisor or look at either the UC Davis Study Abroad website or the UCEAP website. And studying abroad is fairly easy as long as you talk to an advisor and make sure all your classes align. And it tends to be easier the more general your classes are. So for example, it's easier to take chemistry abroad than it is for animal lactation abroad, of course. So, but yeah, it looks like those are all of our general questions. I know we end in a couple minutes, right, Vanessa? But thank you guys for submitting all of your questions. I'll let Vanessa kind of close this out, but feel free to email our department. I'll probably put my email in the main chat as well if you guys have any like animal science specific questions, and my panelists, if you want to put your email in too, I'm sure people would appreciate, no pressure. But yeah, feel free to email if you have any questions. I know I didn't get to some of the more specific ones, but thank you for submitting, everyone who submitted questions.
Yeah, thank you. Round of applause for our panelists and for Anna for facilitating so amazingly. So yeah, thank you for everyone for joining us this evening. Anna will put our information in the chat if you lost it. But yeah, lots of great opportunities. And if we weren't able to answer your question tonight, we will follow up at a later time. But thank you so much. We'll be saying goodnight and goodbye. And yeah, let us know if you have anything else in the future, and go Ags. Night.